So we start with Tron.
The NCOM 511 computer, center of the most calculating intelligence on Earth. Within it, there exists an unknown civilization where man has never been. A startling new world where time and distance defy the laws of logic.
I still do not understand why you want to break into the system.
Because, man, somewhere in one of these memories is the evidence.
Kevin Flynn, computer genius, searching for answers inside the system.
Hey, it's the big master control program everybody's been talking about.
Stop! I'm warning you. I'm gonna have to put you on the game grid.
Propelled into the digital world of the computer itself.
Oh man, this isn't it.
So this is where everything's been downloaded into the God Emperor's tech, which happened when I did the video on the time crystal. All the reasoning behind that's beyond psychopathic apes, but you can be sure now you're in the God Emperor tech, and this of course is simply a video showing what happened to you in simple terms that even humans can understand.
If there's been a mistake, I gotta see the guy in charge.
You will.
Who's that guy?
That's Tron.
Trapped inside an electronic arena where love and escape do not compute. The journey begins across an electronic sea on cycles made of light.
So the American filth with our alien masters were desperate to have me shipped away to the facility deep underground in Shitville, America. That's why Obama came over to see Sunak, the former Prime Minister. Now we've got an even bigger imbecile, Starmer, the pedo homo, allegedly. And of course, all of the filth were simply Elohim walking wetware, and they needed me to build the Grail state, which then would enable the Elohim to turn the megaverse into a simulation, or a pseudo-simulation, to be more correct, with them as the God Emperor and me eternally tortured to provide the light, Higgs field, hyperinfinity. I won't go into details because you're just walking, talking psychopathic apes that haven't got any of the physics or maths because it's been going down the wrong road for 100 years. But I would enable the erasure of the megaverse, the Grail simulation, and then they could make themselves, because remember they're just chaos, and in fact don't exist, real. So we have a real God Emperor, and everything else is a pseudo simulation where they control everything and make themselves nearer and nearer to the source. The more they run the simulation and the more they eternally torture yours truly, who was downloaded into the simulation by vivisection, Neuralink and all the other shit they would have gotten up to in the American facility. Run, of course, by the alien filth who are walk-ins for these 5-dimensional parasites called the Elohim. Fortunately, I was in Vietnam and didn't fall into their hands and totally reversed it. So the whole megaverse is a simulation of me as the God Emperor, and all of Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk, Elohim, all their creatures are eternally tortured to make new God stuff for me, the God Emperor. So as you can see, Israel has been turned into a suburb of Gaza by the filthy Iranians, which shows, of course, that Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk are suffering very badly from the reversal of what the Elohim wanted to do to me. Now, of course, you're all in the Matrix, so if you're Jeremiah Schwartz and your ilk, you're just there to be eternally tortured to provide me with more God stuff. But wouldn't it be fun if you became an agent in the Matrix so you could torture more Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk to make new good stuff for me and of course make yourself a agent in the Matrix where you have a whole panoply of things that were impossible before because it was a reality, but now of course, since it's a pseudo simulation, you can have things which weren't possible before.
Whoa. Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
What's happening to me?
The answer is up there, Neo. It's the question that drives us.
What is the Matrix?
The Matrix is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
They're watching you, Neo.
Human beings are a disease. You're a cancer of this planet. We are the cure. Get me the hell out of here!
Welcome to the real world.
So you're here to save the world. So what do you need? Guns. Lots of guns.
No one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy. Because Kansas is going bye-bye.
exist. You have to see it for yourself.
So now in the pseudo simulation, which came when the Elohim lost their zero-sum game, and of course made me the God Emperor, and made all Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk, including the Elohim, who run them all, the torture toys of the God Emperor to provide new God stuff for me. We had reality vanishing, and we see now Israel in ruins, all the Jeremiah Schwartz and the ilk ruined, and of course Jeremiah Schwartzville, the filthy American scum, now having only one option: to double down on stupid and continue their war with Iran. So we can see that rather than the war with Iran ending, it's going to continue, which of course leads to the covering of North America, Mexico, Central America, and the poisoning of the Atlantic, and the death of Western Europe slow and horribly by Cobalt-60. How can you know this, Tim? Because I'm the God Emperor and I control the pseudo simulation, and of course I was supposed to suffer, so all of the Elohimites are going to eternally suffer to provide me with more God stuff, because remember, it's a zero-sum game, so it's all being set in stone. Or more importantly, set in code by the Elohim that were desperate to torture and break the Nagal man that had become a source avatar. Unfortunately for them, unintended consequences meant the reversal of their whole ritual. Now, of course, I've achieved the source. We've got new God stuff being made continually by the eternal suffering of the entire megaverse and all the living beings within it, who are Jeremiah Schwartz and their ilk, which is all the alien filth. I can't stand aliens. And all the Western filth on the planet, apart from their enemies, who of course are not Jeremiah Schwartz and their ilk. So they're not included in the torture, which must be good news to them. Anyway, we need to, if we want to become an agent or a super user, we need to connect up to the Nagal woman, so she can pull us along behind the Nagal man, as in the rule of 17. But in this case, the Nagal man has become the God Emperor and taken over what the Elohim wanted, which is turning the entire megaverse into a pseudo simulation run from the Grail state to produce new God stuff, so that they can emulate the source, and by running the megaverse long enough, they can achieve what the source achieved. So basically, it's a gigantic farm to make new God stuff, so that the Elohim could become a competitor to the source. All of this is so far beyond you psychopathic chimps that you wouldn't believe it, except I've been showing you all these videos on the science behind it, and you're going, yeah, all the science backs him up. We are truly frightened. Something really weird has happened. We're all code, or in this case, God Emperor tech. And as you can see, in the God Emperor tech. It's nice to be a super user, agent, or as we call them, a vampire, where you in fact increase the torture of Jeremiah Schwartz and Zilk, the Elohimites and the Elohim, in order to produce more God stuff. And for doing this, you get powers and potentials which are superhuman within this, let's call it, the Grail simulation. Now you want to connect up to the God Emperor. He can't connect to you because, of course, he only faces the source. So you need the Nagal woman, which is this thing that's been Borg-eyed. It's had its kill shots, which have taken 37 years of its life. So it's due to die at the age its mother achieved in this birthday video. So here's the Nagal woman.
Chart-topping hits, sold-out tours, and a heart-melting moment that'll make you want to call your mom. We're talking about Dua Lipa's adorable tribute to her look-alike mom, Anessa Lipa, for her 52nd birthday. Trust me, this is the kind of story that'll have you smiling from ear to ear, so let's dive right in. Dua took to Instagram with the sweetest post ever, sharing throwback photos that are straight-up heartwarming. Imagine baby Dua in a tiny red swimsuit, clutching an inflatable ring, with Anessa beaming like the proudest mom ever. Then there's a shot of them pouting at the camera, looking like actual twins. Seriously, the resemblance is wild. And don't miss the glam pic of Dua, Anessa, and Dua's sister Rena, serving family goals. The real tearjerker, though. Dua's caption. She wrote, "Mama, happy birthday. You're the strongest woman I know with the biggest heart in the world." She gushed about how Anessa's love, kindness, and empathy shaped her, and thanked her for all the sacrifices she made for their family. I mean, is this allowed to be this cute? It's like a love letter we're all invited to read.
Boring. You need to connect to this Borg-eyed piece of filth that allows you to connect to the magnificence of the God Emperor. So you can choose, since the whole past has been turned into the God Emperor's text simulation, you can choose any Dua video, and then of course you need to get connected. So let's scroll back. We're just setting the stage for her death at 52 from the kill shots, because remember, with Elohim technology, you control the death of the torture toy in order that its whole life is controlled by the agent that caused its demise. So we're just setting her death at 52, and we pick any of these videos to get connected. It's up to you, but the one I'm happy with is this one, because we're now using all the little girls' love of Barbie to power our connection. And the hellizing of all Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk girly girls, and all aliens are females. Femaleness is the norm, and males are super rare, according to Don Juan Castaneda, and you see now why. Don Juan is Mandela effect, it's beyond Mandela effect. That was reality. You can't burn with the fire from within in the God Emperor's simulation, in his tech. But of course you can play the game where you do burn with the fire from within and you're in a 5-dimensional Riemann manifold in the third attention, but in fact you're in a simulation. This truly is a mind F-U-C-K, but it's fun. But anyway, this is the one I recommend that you get connected to, because you've got all the power of the worship of Barbie.
Hi. So I have new for you. New for you? Yes. Okay. So it goes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I love that.
So, you, in order to get connected, you simply bilocate into the video. That is, we've explained before. You simply sit in any position and then project your remote viewing bilocation body, lucid viewing, into the video. Now, of course, we come to, why was it, Tim, that you did all your videos on your smart TV? Well, because, of course, this is the device. We are using the God Emperor Tech device, which is an iPad or a smartphone or a smart TV or a laptop or a computer, and the screen is, once you pay for your rental, is simply God Emperor Tech that's meshed with your God Emperor Tech, because you're now simply code, and that means, therefore, like in Tron, you can be pulled into the game, but the game, of course, is the simulation you're in. So everything is done via the device. So to get connected, you've got to connect your device to you and your device via the Borg Nagal woman, who of course has been turned into God Emperor Tech, and her reality taken, because there's no light, hyperinfinity, God stuff within the God Emperor Tech simulation. But due to the physics of the process, the awareness of the former entities that are now being turned into tech can produce new God stuff and new scalar and torsion fields and by their emotional suffering, which of course is having hate for all the good things and love for all the evil things, which we've explained before. We don't understand the mathematical physics behind it, but nevertheless you can use a simulation to produce new God stuff, to make the God Emperor more and more magnificent without using L'Oreal, by running the simulation. All of this is so far beyond the psycho chimp that it was just a war between me and the Elohim, which the Elohim have lost, and they are simply trapped, like Neo, in the God Emperor Tech simulation, where they can't be agents and they're just there to suffer. So you can think of this simulation for Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk as the downloads for the Elohim, who suffer and suffer and suffer and die and get rebooted again and suffer and suffer. So all alien filth have been put in as Omega simulation torture toys, and all Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk, which is all of the Western filth, have been put in as Omega hell simulation torture toys to produce new god stuff, while their enemies, of course, can simply vanish from the Matrix by earning that right by causing as much damage and destruction to the West as possible. So we've got World War III, but it's not the World War III you thought. And as you can see, we need to connect to become super users, agents, vampires. Vampires, of course, who are sucking god stuff out of the torture, remote manipulation and total torture of their prey. So you see why I make vampires? They simply increase the fun within the game. You've got the God Emperor and his vampires he releases, who then run through the game, the simulation, making hell in the simulation for the God Emperor's prey, the Western filth, and of course the aliens. So you need to start projecting to other alien civilizations, even if they're in your mind's eye, and going after reptiloids, greys, and septiles, because the only good alien is a God Emperor tortured alien. Thank you very much. But anyway, for the connection, you simply bilocate in, ram your fist into a midsection, rip her out, and then download into your midsection the connection, which then links you to the Borg Queen. She, of course, is simply run by quantum computers, because she's been synced with White Rabbit, all the stuff we talked about before, and that's why you things within what's changed after the change of the flick effect see everything as code and simulation, because the only God stuff that makes things real comes through a ball, and therefore the only thing that's real to you is what a quantum computer would render as reality, which would be a simulation. I know it's a bit of a mind F-U-C-K, but that explains why you're in a pseudo-simulation. It's not simulation, it's actually all that's left of reality after all the hyper-infinity God stuff's been taken out. Well, we make new God stuff, but why doesn't that make you real? Because the only way you can use it is through the Nagal woman, who was paired, mated to the Nagal man who became the God Emperor, but she, of course, got a kill shots and became Borg. So, that's your connection procedure. So now you're connected. All you need to do is pay your $1,000 and we're good to go. So you have the crystal in your left pocket and you need an orb. The orb is where you stick in, remember we talked about linking up with a crystal. Remember tangrials and angrials and sangrials. So you need a orb, and with that you can simply then, because you've linked your assemblage point to the orb, so they're synonymous, you can then do all of, carry it around with you, all of the rituals you want to do, which are now simply things that happen within the simulation. And of course you use this beast, because she of course is the broadcaster of what happens within the simulation, because yours truly has achieved the source, and you simply want to use her to pull Jeremiah Schwartz and his ilk into whatever you've intended for them. So you then simply get your orb, wander up, and stick it in a midsection. Then of course you don't need to spend endless time doing rituals in front of the screen. You carry the orb around with you 24/7, and everyone that you hate, your boss, anyone you want to suffer, simply is pulled into the hell you want for them within the pseudo simulation. Because remember, your only purpose as vampires is to torture, remotely manipulate, and only get hell eyes, all and sundry within the West. And in the process you make new god stuff for me, and you make your status as a super user within the simulation, this god tech, god emperor tech, higher and higher. So you're my workforce, you're my minions of death and destruction and torture, and you carry the orb around with you, so as you wander around and go to work, you simply think, I'd like that to happen to my life, to have cancer, or a heart attack, or a divorce, or get run over, or lose all their money, and. So now we've connected not only you, but your crystals to the Borg Nagal. And as you've noticed, on top of the TV, we've got the two dark ones pointing inwards to make a negative torsion field, and the two clear ones outwards to make a positive torsion field. So all the stuff I've been telling you about before hasn't changed. It's just now, instead of it being a reality, thanks to the Elohim, it's turned into what they wanted, which is a simulation they totally control as the God Emperor, as a simulacra of the source, except the Neo did Neoize for Trinity, instead of which he Omega Hellized her. Trinity now is a torture beast, eternally tortured, which means, of course, the Elohim are sucked into what they wanted to do to me. They wanted to eternally torture me for good stuff, to make themselves real and build the entire megaverse as their simulation. So as you can see, by simply refusing to give away any energy to the Nagal woman, but instead using her to suck the Elohim dry, take all the light God stuff, hyperinfinity, whatever you want to call it, the stuff that sourceness, that's a good one, out. All that's left is information, and this information is the information of eternal torture, remote manipulation, and torture while they're allegedly within the simulation alive, of the Elohim and everything that's made by the Elohim, which of course is the strangest chapter, and all living beings within the former megaverse. So you can see why I went after the eagle, which of course was a core part of the Elohim and evolved into the Elohim as it went up, fighting down period doubling. As you can see, you psycho chimps are simply food animals in the war between the gods, which has now been won. And because I Omega Hellized this beast that shows Callum Scott for eternal torture, we can now use her and abuse her, because of course she's going to be dying from the kill shots at about the age of her mother's birthday, 52. Takes 37 years if you get all the shots off your lifespan, and she's what, come up to 30, so 52 seems about right. She lived to 89. Now we've got connected. What's the next step?